Woohoo! All right, are we live? I think we are. Okay. Let me pull the comments up. Hello, everyone. So we are here with the wonderful Stephanie. Hi, Stephanie.
Hi, Cinnamon. Hi.
We have so much to catch up on, but for those who haven't met you before, tell us, where are you from and where are you currently residing?
My name is Stephanie. Hi. I was just pulling it up on YouTube so I could spy on the chat. My name is Stephanie. I'm from exotic Dover, Delaware, but I'm right now in Costa Rica. I just finished a house sit, as a matter of fact, less than a week ago. I'm in Costa Rica, enjoying the warm weather and still team boycott winter.
Indeed. So
Yeah.
tell our viewers, what is house sitting?
House sitting is staying in people's homes and taking care of their homes and usually their pets while they're away, taking care of their responsibilities inside of their home so they can be out in the world doing whatever they need to do. Meanwhile, you get to be in their home and in their city, enjoying yourself and living as though it's your place, right? You get to live inside that home and enjoy everything that involves. Hopefully, a swimming pool, right?
So for those of you who've been rocking with us for a while, we interviewed Stephanie. I think it's almost been 3 years ago, Stephanie. And you were just getting into house sitting. And for individuals who don't necessarily want to move abroad, but they still want to take advantage of, traveling and experiencing abroad in a cost effective way, what can you say about that?
So we a lot of times think that something we think we know the answer, and so we don't even try. A lot of people think that they know how expensive it must be to travel long term or move abroad or something because they know how expensive vacations are, right? Like I know a vacation to this place cost me X dollars, so to live there, it's going to cost me X dollars times 52 for for the whole year. House sitting is a good way to get yourself into a place and check it out. See for real what it's like. See what life is really like in that place because you can't gauge the cost of a place based on your vacation.
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. I think people aren't being realistic with that, even as it relates to where I live. Hey, folks, thanks for joining us live. Hey, Elaine, Kenneth LP. Hey, fairly fast. I love it. Hey, everybody, thank you so much for joining in. So, Stephanie's going to stick around. She has to do a hard stop at the end of the hour. So, if you have any questions, if you could put a Q in front of it so I know that you are asking a question, not the exotic Dover, Delaware. Exactly. Hey there. Hey there, Black Utopia. Love it. What's going on? So yes, we're going to do questions at the end. So if you have any questions for Stephanie, please type those in and we'll get to it toward the end. So as we talked about house sitting, did you use this as your way of testing out countries, decide where and if you wanted to move abroad?
Not originally, because I didn't think at first that I wanted to move anywhere. I just wanted to bop around. I just wanted to keep traveling full time, traveling long term. So originally, house sitting was just a way to see places, to get to the places that I wanted to see without paying for accommodation. House sitters get free accommodation through most house sitting platforms, but you don't get paid if you're house sitting through one of the international platforms, right?
Okay.
But it was a way for me to be in a place and not have to pay for a place to stay. But recently, I did decide to make Costa Rica the place that I at least get residency.
Okay.
Life is funny, so I'm not going to be living in Costa Rica all that long, but I am applying for residency in Costa Rica. So getting house sits here meant that I could try out a couple of different neighborhoods and see what I like about the area, and maybe hopefully make some friends here. So I'm not just like showing up clueless by myself.
Right. So for those of you who, again, if you're just interested in travel or if you are interested in moving abroad, I think it's one of the brilliant ways of kind of testing out things, getting a more authentic feel of the country before just leaping and making that change and realizing, maybe this wasn't the best decision or I don't have friends here. So what advice would you give those individuals who may want to take this approach to moving abroad?
I think do it. Try it out. Try a place out. Scouting trips can be expensive, and scouting trips can be a reason that people put their moves off for quite a while because the scouting trip on its own is going to cost them money. So I say go ahead and get yourself on a house sitting platform. If you're a friend of animals, it's really not that hard to get started house sitting. If you're okay with taking care of somebody's cat or dog or fish or chickens in the backyard, it's not all that hard to get started. And use it as an opportunity to check out a place. When you try to do a scouting trip from a hotel, you're probably in the tourist area or in like the financial center or something, and not in the part of the city that you're going to want to live in. So you're going to have a different experience with stuff like transportation, utilities, and other stuff. So house sitting is I think it's a really smart way to try out some places, see
I love
what life is like in that real in in where you would probably be living.
I love that. And for those of you who don't want to move abroad, listen, we're not saying that this is just a way for people who want to move abroad. Even if you want to travel, even if you don't even want to go outside of the country and you want to stay in the US and you still want to travel among the US, this is still a very reasonable option. So can you talk more about that for our folks who are listening?
Yeah, you can house sit in your own city, right? You don't have to go anywhere away to house sit. If you want a staycation in a place with a pool, listen, I'm gonna point y'all to the pool every time. If you want to get away from your surroundings, your environment, take some time in a new place, you can do that by house sitting, and you don't have to get on a plane to do it. Um, House sitting is really, it's easier for a brand new house sitter to be trusted by someone who's already in your city. It's easier for clients to trust a stranger anyway who lives in their city, as opposed to a stranger who's two continents away. You don't know if they're going to be able to make it, what kind of emergency might pop up. So it really is convenient to book some house sits in your own city anyway to get yourself started. Some of your subscribers are business owners or are business starters, right? If you want to do a nice work retreat or a retreat where you're going to do some planning, it's that time of year, right? It's planning. I'm in planning retreat mode myself, right? It's planning retreat season. Get yourself a house sit where you can be in a different environment, and you can I think I'm really convinced you're kind of a different person in a different place. You can get rid of some of the bad habits that you have at home, like laying on the sofa and eating Captain Crunch for dinner. You might not do that in a house sit. And so yes, house sitting in your local city, house sitting in your state, house sitting in the next state over, all work. It all counts.
That's a really good point. So this is something you're interested in doing, and you're like, listen, I don't have any experience. How is someone going to pick me over someone else? This is a good idea to just start in your local city or town. Now, Stephanie has a toolkit that we have in the description of this box if you're interested, that you can get connected to Stephanie's information quickly. So I definitely encourage you to do that. We're jumping on a new year. People have new goals. If you want to jump out there and travel, because accommodation is the most expensive thing, whether you're moving abroad or whether you're traveling. So if you can knock out that expense, this can be a lot more doable than you may have thought before.
Absolutely. You're gonna feel like a genius, okay? You're gonna be like, wait a minute. Because I'm telling you, I just left a house sit last week. I'm in an Airbnb. I paid for this. I'm like, ugh, this is I'm not used to this.
So the house sit is much better.
Much
Now,
better.
tell our listeners and viewers in regards to your residency in Costa Rica. How did you go about like going from house sit to saying, okay, this is where I want to have residency, and why you chose to get residency in another country in general?
I've bopped around from place to place since 2015. The pandemic kept me quiet for a little while, but since 2015, I've been moving around from country to country. And I want my own stuff right now. It took me a while. It took me a while, but like I want my own forks. Every time you go into somebody's house sit or you go into an Airbnb and they have them bent up forks, I'm like, I want my own stuff now. I've had enough of this
Okay.
for a little while. Now, Costa Rica has a benefit, residency, temporary or permanent residency in Costa Rica has a benefit that Portugal doesn't have. Portugal is the love of my life. I love Portugal. But when you get that residency in Portugal, you have to be in the country for X number of days a year. Costa Rica don't care, right?
Mm.
Costa Rica's like, girl, go where you want. So it's really helpful to somebody who wants to try to maybe establish a home base and maybe not.
Hmm.
Costa Rica was a good choice because I don't have to decide that right away.
Right. And you bring up a good point because initially, when I moved to Portugal first, many of you know I moved and I wasn't a resident. Then,
Yeah.
the world shut down and they weren't letting me back in. And so I couldn't get my stuff. I couldn't, my bank was like, I was in a bad way. And so I had to go to the embassy every single day while in the States so that I can get my temporary residency so I can get back into the country. So you're absolutely correct. You gotta be here. Look, you have to be there. And it's funny. I was telling Stephanie on the break that my college friend Nadia, which you'll hear from her next week, she took Stephanie's course and was under Stephanie's tutelage, and she had been getting house sitting, and she came to visit Portugal, and I'm just listening to her life like, wow, you're going to all these cool places. It sounds so awesome. It's so amazing. Where I'm in Portugal, like, I mean, not to sound like, oh, ho hum my life, but I'm in Portugal, like, I can't go nowhere. This is the way this residency work out. I
I'm
gotta
in the
stay
most
here.
beautiful country ever. Poor me.
That's not what I'm applying. Please don't take it that way. I'm just saying, just hearing and kind of hearing the excitement of meeting new people and doing new things and seeing more beautiful things. Because I feel like even now, sometimes I get a little like funky when I'm here because I haven't gone anywhere. I haven't traveled anywhere. I haven't done anything. But I gotta stay legal, so we do what we do here.
That's right. What is the rule? How many days out of the year? Is it like 300 out of
Oh
365
my
or something?
God. So here's the fun thing. Don't nobody really know. Well, I shouldn't say that. It's technically around 4 months you can't be out of the country, but no one can, the when that starts on the calendar, no one's all the way clear on that. So it's not clear if it's the date from when you got your original residency. Is it calendar year? Is it the date of your, like, whether you're on SEF that is no longer SEF and is about to end, or however we do immigration from this point forward, whatever that process is going to be called, no one can get that answer. So I usually have to do like a little juggle back and forth just to make sure that I'm still within the 4 months, whether it's calendar year or 4 months, whether it's based off of my card on my residency. So I don't
Okay.
know, girl. We gonna see what happened. I'm up here just playing Russian roulette. Like we'll see. Things change. And immigration anywhere, would Americans have to understand, immigration anywhere can change. And as an immigrant, you know what you do? You deal. You can't complain about it. You just gotta go with what the people say and just deal. So I just stay safe or try to at least.
Not sending you back. Listen, they not sending you back. Okay.
Right. So, how has this process of house sitting actually, for those of you who have not seen our interview prior, tell us like what was your life prior to house sitting? Where'd you come from? What was your occupation? All of that.
I was a hospital pharmacy technician and I worked night shift. It was really, really hard for me to take vacations. I earned vacation time, but I worked in jobs where you had to put in your requests. Put in my vacation request, I would request 5 days, they would give me 3 days and not consecutive, right? And then they'd be like, well, figure it out. Find somebody to work for you, trade shifts with this person. It was really a hassle to take vacations. It was easier for me to quit my job and travel for a year than it was for me to try to take a week or two vacation. So I quit my job in 2015 and I traveled for a year. I had the savings to travel on a very small budget. This was before house sitting. Very small budget through Southeast Asia primarily because that was so inexpensive. But I did make it to France and Portugal and Budapest, right? Hungary. But that was life, and I thought that after the year was over, I was going to go back to that life. But what happened was, once I got out in the world, I met other people, other travelers, other locals in the places I was in. I was like, oh, we're wrong. The United States is wrong. We have the idea that your life is work, primarily in the prime years, right? Your life is work, and the other stuff is supposed to fit in where it can. But other people don't live like that,
Right.
right? They have a full life. Their family has a real priority in their life. Work really is that girl that has to fit in where she can.
Right.
The other stuff is important, and they get to be whole people in 360 degrees. They get to have hobbies, they get to travel, they have interests, they have conversations, they know things about the world that we are like, what? Oh, what? Seeing that for the year meant that I couldn't come back and make work the priority anymore. And that's when I started Googling, how do I keep traveling with no money? And Google was like, you should be a house sitter. That's how it started. I just didn't want to go back to that life. I didn't want to go back to work dictating every other thing that I did. Because I worked night shift and I worked in a hospital, work dictated family events that I could go to and not. Work dictated when I saw my friends. Work dictated who my friends were, right? Because you work night shift, you have other friends who work night shift. Um, and I didn't want to go back to that. I didn't want to do it. I was 41 when I left, so 42 when I came back. And I was like, these are the good years. I could go back and go back to the way things were and then just hang on until 65 or 60, 67 or 71, right? Just hang on until there when I finally would get to live my own life. But I didn't want to.
I love it. Now, when people hear the story of how you quit your job and, did this, let's put some caveats. And everyone always says, Sin, why are you always giving these disclaimers? Because I'm the one who get the emails, y'all. Like, I'm the one who get the emails from people who didn't think it through, and now they stuck somewhere. And I'm like, girl, sir, what are you doing? So I'm going to continue to give disclaimers. If you got an issue with that, I don't know what to tell you. So can you talk a little bit? And I know, Stephanie, I know you get the emails too.
I do too, but I don't read my email, so it's easy.
Okay, maybe I should start that. So can you talk about how you strategically plan? Because I feel like that's where people don't hear that part. They just hear, yeah, girl, I left the country and whatever. Can you talk about how you strategically plan to make this move?
I took 14 months. So the sabbatical took me 15 months to plan and get my money together. Because I knew I was going to travel on a shoestring budget for a year. I needed $14,400 for a year or $1,200 per month. And so it took me 15 months to do that, to get that all together. I knew back in the day, $40 a day was a pretty standard backpacker budget. And I was okay doing things on a backpacker budget. Again, this was before house sitting. Today, $1,200 a month as a house sitter is fine, right? That's fine. Just, that's a good amount of food and a little bit of transportation. Not a lot of bopping from country to country, but like getting to a place and staying in that country and taking the train when I need to go someplace else. $1,200 in a month is okay, right? If you're okay with counting you still got this $1,200 a month means I still had to track every dollar in the beginning.
Right.
But it took me 15 months to get all of that together. But it was well worth it. It was probably the most difficult thing that I spent any significant amount of time working towards. Because up until then, I was a person who would have a plan and then just like, forget it. It's taking too much time. But planning for my sabbatical was the thing that I followed through on. One of the first and one of the hardest things that I followed through on was planning and taking that sabbatical.
Okay. And so, all right, y'all hear that she did some planning, but this is what you also have to consider. Life happens. Okay. If life happens, please prepare for that financially. So in any event that you have to leave and you need to leave a country and fly back to the States, be prepared for the tickets. Okay. Be prepared for if life happens. Don't just
right.
go and say, oh, I need 15. And I know you're like, Sin, don't preach to us. It's like, I get it. I get it. Some of y'all got it. Some people need to hear this. Okay. So you are going to make sure that you have some, right. You're going to make sure you have some emergency stash in case anything happens. You're in a whole new country. Let's even talk about the natural disasters that happen randomly and you need to dip and do, and you have to be prepared for that financially. Please do not. Someone just sent me an email. I probably should stop reading my emails. Is that what this is?
Work for me.
Someone just sent me an email asking me. I'm not going to put this stuff out there. Anyway, just come on, y'all. Let's just think things.
The other You also need to be prepared for your own medical emergency.
Hmm.
In a lot of places that you're going to go, healthcare is accessible and you're going to be able to pay for things out of pocket, but you need to have insurance for catastrophic events, which what you think is travel insurance is not going to cover, right? You need a specific travel medical insurance plan, not just, when I booked my ticket, I said yes to the travel insurance, right? These are two different things. That's another thing you need to be prepared for, your own medical emergency.
Absolutely. And again, if you were just now joining us, Stephanie has a link in the description. New house sitters startup toolkit. Please go check that out. Get connected with Stephanie because she's been doing this. She's inspired a lot of people, and I think it's a great way to test out countries, particularly if you have never, because there are some people who have like never left the country and then just go randomly moving abroad. And hey, listen, whatever, you grown, you could do what you want to do. But to me, I feel like that would be a bit terrifying, and it's a lot of culture shock and new things to deal with all at once. So I feel like house sitting is a really good like in between.
Absolutely. We don't know what we don't know about a place. I'm gonna tell you two things about Costa Rica that are make it really hard for people who see the pictures and come here without having visited beforehand. Number one, ain't no address. There's no address. It's not an address. Okay. Your Airbnb says 500 meters south of the Church of the Our Lady of Perpetual Sorrow, 500 meters south. Look for the Black Gate. Okay. Costa Rica. All right. And in a lot of places, you don't flush your toilet paper in the
Right.
toilet. You put it in the trash.
Hmm.
You want to know a place before you do everything you do to move. Moving is hard and expensive and time consuming. You want to know that place before you move to that place.
No, I agree. And even some things, especially if you're buying property, I know when I was considering Costa Rica, this was so long ago, this was probably well over a decade ago, there were a lot of people just buying land, not aware that getting to be able to put stuff on said land was extremely difficult. I remember staying at an Airbnb with a gentleman who he was from California, but he's an attorney. And so I don't know if I could say that out loud. At that time, allegedly, the government would hire people, allegedly, to squat on properties of foreigners, allegedly. And this particular gentleman was someone who would help foreigners get their property back. And he would say, before we start, do you want your property back or do you want someone to go to jail? And so naturally they were like, I want my property back. I just want my property back, right? So he would go through the process of what needed to be done for them to gain their property back. But then at the end, when it's done, the homeowner would be frustrated, like, so no one's going to go to jail? And he's like, I asked you at the beginning, do you want someone to go to jail or do you want your property back? So that's what one of the things that were going on. This was over a decade ago when I was interested in moving. So as a foreigner, just please be aware. And the thing that I like about house sitting that you can't really get from a scouting trip is you can start to make local friends and kind of see what some of the stuff is that's happening to people, and you know what I
That's
mean.
right.
So you get to learn that. Like at that time I was going to Costa Rica like once a month, so I started to have friends, and that's how and then I end up staying at this gentleman's Airbnb. So
Friends are important. It's important. You don't know how things operate in that place. Here, I saw something I saw, and the people were like, "Oh, something's happening." The white American people were like, "I'm going to call the police." I'm like, "The police are coming here. The police don't. This is not that."
right.
Number one, they're not coming, and number two, if somebody does happen to ride by, they're not going to be on your side.
No,
Okay, this is
no.
not. You need friends because you need somebody to help you navigate a whole. It's a different
It
place.
is
It's
an
a different.
absolutely different world. And it's funny because we had Christine and Candace on a couple weeks ago. And I was just talking about, like, on one hand, I'm disgusted that the U.S. is so litigious. But on the other hand, when you need something to happen, you appreciate that the U.S. is litigious, and just the things that can happen. I have a friend, and I'm not going to give too much of the information out, but she had a tenant in her property here in Portugal that just wasn't paying and whatever. So you got to go through court, whatever. And so she gonna know that I'm selling. Anyway, she did some things. Her a gentleman friend helped her out. I'll just say that. And I was like, wait, if you would have done that in the States, you would have like went to jail immediately. Like you can't.
Yeah, it's different. The rules are different, right? The rules are different in different places. Things that seem, and on reverse, things that seem like no big deal to Americans are a big deal in some places. Like they don't do that here. You can't do that. Yeah, you need to be part of the community. Sometimes people want to move to a place and just like recreate what they know in the U.S. in that new place, move into their located community and live like they're still Americans in America. You need to be there's no point in moving if you're not going to be a part of the community. Your
I
life is going to be, you're making things so hard on yourself.
I agree. I agree. And I know a lot of times when Americans come, well, I can only speak to Portugal because that's the only other country I've lived in. But it's like everyone immediately wants to go to, let me find some more Americans. Let me find some more Americans. And they just keep their experience just American. And I'm like, well, why did you even come? Like, and it's a different experience. And just because somebody moved out the country and they happen to be American, don't mean you're going to like them.
Right.
Like, people out here are weird.
That's right. That's right. I try to make some of my house sitting clients my friends. Now, the people I just house sat for, they're actually Brazilians, but they were really nice, and I WhatsApped them, and like I'm trying to turn them into some friends. I need some friends, more friends around here.
Absolutely, absolutely. So let's get into a couple questions, and if you have any questions for Stephanie, let us know. Okay, I'm looking for cues. Hey there, y'all. Hey there. Hey there. Hey there. Hey Monica. Hey Ginger. Hey Jessica. What's going on? Yes, yes, yes. Okay, okay. No questions. What do you tell Uber in Costa Rica? Was
You tell them you're going 500 meters south of the Church of Our Lady of Guadalupe. All right, and then you're looking for the black gate. They'll drop a pin. They use Waze, Waze. Waze. More people use Waze than Google Maps, but they'll send you a pin. You drop the pin, and that's where you're telling your Uber you're going. When it's your very first time, neither one of y'all know what you're looking for. Okay, hopefully
we find it? They find it though, which is interesting. So we get this question a lot when living abroad. How do you meet people and plug into a community? This is probably one of the number one questions we get about moving abroad or slow travel, anything. So what do you have to say to that, Stephanie?
if you can, so even though you're looking for local people, you can start out with looking for groups of people who have moved to that place, right? Groups of expats, and then make sure that you make friends with somebody who has some local friends, right? Let them connect you. Also, doing the thing that you like to do in that place will help you meet people. Walking dogs, being a person who's a house sitter who walks dogs in Costa Rica means that people will stop me and just have conversations with me. And if you want to become friends with them, you can become friends with them. Every Uber driver is like, not in a weird way. I don't know. I wish I had started that sentence, but not in a weird way, not in a creepy way. But Costa Ricans are just very chill people, and they want to make sure that you're having a good experience in their country. So just conversations with people in the places where you are out living your life can lead to you making connections with people. Now, my real plan is to start going to co-working. There are some co-working spaces around town. I have been here since September. I have not been to co-working yet. But that's my plan. My plan to make friends on top of house sitting is to go to co-working spaces, go to the extra events that they have, and meet the people there, because I think that those are going to be people who get me, right? It's going to be some local people who run their own businesses or do some online stuff. And so we'll be able to make friends that way.
No,
Or
I think
become
that's great. I think definitely find some things that you like doing. And you may feel slightly intimidated if you don't speak the language, or don't speak the language well. But everyone's usually pretty nice. You know what I mean? Like, particularly if you're doing something you like, you can body language, you can, and then it'll force you to start getting into the language, and it'll definitely help you make some friends. So if you go to the gym, if you're doing Pilates, for those of you in Portugal, check out, you know, just do things that locals will be there, and you'll already have a common ground. And depending on the country and the level of education, there's probably some English there. I have people tell me here in the most eloquent, beautiful accent that they do not speak English. And I'm like, you just said that beautifully. Like, what do you mean? Right? But I can say I speak a little Portuguese very well.
Yeah. So the problem is, as Americans inside of the United States, we're super judgmental of people whose English is not A plus perfect. And so we expect when we leave and go to another country that people are going to be like that to us because we don't speak Portuguese perfectly or Spanish perfectly or whatever, right? But they are much more forgiving than we are as a country. They're much more patient, much more understanding. It's a much better experience being being an English speaker in out in the world than it is being a non-English speaker in the U.S.
Yeah.
Much gentler, much more grace.
Right. And I think English tends to be the connecting language. I had a friend of mine who's from Sweden, and he was like, if I'm speaking to someone from, Croatia, and, we're talking, we'll usually go to English because that is the language we can both speak. So it's usually it tends to be somewhat of a universal language. Like even if you meet someone here in Japan and, who the common language tends to be English. That does not mean that you don't try to speak the local language. And also as it relates to finding your community, I think the main thing, and you guys hear me harp about this a lot because I feel like I've experienced a lot, as Americans tend to be very transactional in their relationships. So if you come to new people and you have a very transactional spirit, and as Christine said, if you don't come with a spirit of reciprocity, you are going to have a difficult time. So if you find that to be a challenge, you may want to check the way that you are befriending people. Like, just get to know people because you want to get to know them, not to see what they could do for you. You know what I mean? Because that is how you can create a very toxic situation. So if you have any questions, you can put them in the chat and we'll ask Stephanie. So Stephanie, how was your life changed? First of all, let me just give you some flowers real quick because I'm super, super proud of you. I really appreciate how you took a effort approach to, I'm not happy, let me get on the computer, figure out a plan, and let me go execute. Like, I just really, really respect the chutzpah in that.
Thank you, but I was 41. Okay, like I had many, many years of I'm not happy, and this is just how it's going to be. Right? I just got to the point where I was like, no more. I can't keep going like this. But thank you. It took me that long to realize that I had agency, right? That I had control over my life. I always say that's Black power, right? Using your agency, using your power in your own life, that's Black power. That's how we get free, one at a time, and then more than one at a time.
So what do you say to those people who they know they've been, because I feel like something triggers. Like even when I left, I was triggered. Like people were passing. I was like, I don't know if I got 2 weeks, 2 months, like I'm out of here. So what do you say to that gentleman or woman who's listening right now and like, okay, I hear it. I'm not happy. Like, but I don't know how to move. Like, I don't know how to, like they just stuck.
I think free time gives there is an answer. There's some clarity that you just need to find. Quiet and free time are really hard to come across in our US lives. But if you can get yourself in a place of some quiet, and give yourself the gift of some free time, you may there is something that you want for yourself, and you can uncover it that way. Or seriously, you can try someone else's solution and then be like, well, this one didn't work, but if you can start, you could very well start with somebody else's solution. My solution is house sit, go leave the country and house sit. You can start with that and see what you like about that solution, what you don't like, what fits and what doesn't fit. It's scary to make a big change. It's always scary to make a big change, but it's scarier to not. Right? It's scarier to stay. Sometimes staying where you are is just the only solution that you cannot try.
And you bring up a really good point of just like, can you like just try? And it may
Try.
not work. And you got to be okay with that, right? Like
Yeah.
everything we do is not always like going to be perfect. You're going to make some mistakes, but you get some experience out of that. So just approach things. And I think it's a lot less anxious because I think even when I moved to Portugal, I just assumed like I wasn't learning the language. I'm not, I got all this stuff I had to learn and I wasn't doing it fast enough in my head. And I just made myself anxious for no reason.
Yeah. Yeah, you have to leave all that behind. The US has us in a real, I don't know, everything is urgent, everything has to be done immediately, everything has to be perfect, and everything has to work out. But really, like, you do have to be okay with things messing up, the
Right,
whole plan falling apart,
right,
um, to everything taking a whole lot longer than you expected.
right.
Yeah, I don't know if you can, I guess you can hear enough of other people's stories to kind of be prepared, kind of expect that things are going to go wrong and you're going to have to adjust and adapt over and over and over again. But on the other side, there could be something amazing.
Could be something great. So just do it. So top three skills for those who are successful at moving abroad. I think this is a brilliant question. Stephanie, you answer first and then I'll give my answer.
Okay, I'm gonna tell you. I'm gonna give you three, and then once you give your three, I'll be like, oh yeah, that's it. Right?
No, it's all good.
I'm gonna take it, so I'm gonna get six. I get six is the way thing.
Give
Okay,
as
so
many as
first,
you want. You are not limited to three, honey. Give as many as you want.
I think that people who do well when they move abroad are people who are willing to form connection with people and not try to do everything on their own. I think that even if that's new for you, it's new for me, right? Being a person who relies on community is new for me, but
Right.
it's a skill I'm working, I'm practicing on more and more every day to make sure I have it. I think being able to adapt your plan. If you have a very, very rigid plan, you're going to hate the idea. You're going to hate a new country because nothing is going to be very, very rigid. Even if you go to the most rigid place, like Germany, I've heard, right? Germany, very strict and lots of rules and lots of regulations, but still, still a difficult place. Okay, okay. And number three, I'll say. Willingness to move light or travel light. That having to have all of your stuff with you in a new place is going to weigh you down. It's going to really limit the new growth and experiences you can have. And it's expensive. Right? Being able to move light or travel light, another skill that will help you in a move abroad or a bop around nomad life or something in between.
Okay, let's see. So, all right, I would say the first thing is have a marketable skill
Yes.
because with depending on where your money is coming from, if it's coming from retirement, I guess you could relax a little bit. If it's coming from a job or you working remotely or whatever, you have to have, in my opinion, marketable skills that could at least work in the U.S. as in addition to where you are. Now, granted, the pricing may be different for said skill. Like in your home country or the country where you're living, you may not be able to get paid as much, but you're basing it off of the economy in which you're living, right? But I would say right now, not even just about moving abroad, if you have to be in this workforce for the next 10 to 15 years, you have got to learn at least two new skills right now. Like the way technology is doing its thing, you really need to get, two skills and have marketable skills because what I'm seeing happen is that people are dependent on their job in America and then they may lose it or whatever's happening and now they're abroad and now there's an issue, right? So, with that being said, if there is any time, and I know Stephanie could probably attest to this, if there's any time that you have need to focus on having an online identity, it is now. Like 2024, if you ever thought about it before, you cannot play right now because what is happening, even in my industry, you guys know I own a digital marketing company. What's happening with AI and what companies used to pay me to do, some of that stuff can actually go to AI, right? So I have to change and manipulate my business and the model and stuff, even in my business, right? So I say all that to say it is not clear how search is going to look in even 2 years. It's not going to clear like if you were blogging or whatever. What is standing right now is YouTube, right? It's the second largest search engine. So some of your marketing may have to go in that direction, and you may have to build an online audience centered around what's important to you to potentially market to or build. I'm going to do a whole thing on it in about 2 weeks, but get a marketable skill, develop some type of online branding. It doesn't have to be personal. It could be a corporate brand. Whatever you know how to do, online people need to know that you know how to do it.
That's right.
Because that is if something happens, if a job lets you go, but yet online people still know that you know how to do this thing, people start contacting you. That's the only reason why I still check my email. That's the only reason why I check my emails up there. I swear, no. But people contact you. They contact you because they know that you can do things, and they hire you to do those things. If they can't find you online, they won't know you do it. They don't. How are they going to know you exist? So things about to change just drastically as to how you are found by your customer, by even employees. This is for employees too. And I'm not going to reap all that. But yes, have a marketable skill. What else? Be able to be by yourself.
Yes.
And I say this because I think some people may have moved abroad, maybe never moved abroad before. Like this, you did something, it was like, hey, I'm gonna do something crazy, and you did it. But being alone is not where you sit in your spirit, and you may have some issues with that. And then you may find yourself doing things or going in certain groups that may not work for your spirit, and now you hate your whole experience. But if you have the ability to be by yourself and process things logically and look at relationships and look at, experiences and what's happening, then you can make a better discernment as to what circles you want to put yourself in. The third thing, I can't remember a third thing right now, but I'm sure I have one. If it comes out, I'll think of it. But to me, those things, have a marketable skill. Please, your job isn't safe even in America if you are working. So if you come to another country and you are just basing it off of U.S. job, it's not a safe place to be, y'all. I mean, most of the people we bring up here, we're all business owners, so we're a little bit biased, but I don't know. What you say, Stephanie?
You're right. If people can't find you doing your thing online, then you don't do that thing, right? It surprises me how many people reach out to work with me in some way, but I can't verify anywhere on the internet that you actually do that thing. Whether it's people who want to talk on my channel, people who want to speak in the summit, whatever it is, I'm like, how is it 2023 and 11/12 and you have no online presence that verifies that you do the thing that you say you do? Those days are over. It's
Y'all,
time. It's time.
y'all, like, I mean, just what's happening. Look, okay, so we don't have any questions. That's so crazy. The probably because everybody in the audience knows us. They probably heard us talking stuff for the past 3-4 years. They don't have no questions no more. But again, if you have any questions, put the queue. But yes, this is King. And can we talk about that a little bit? Because I feel like, and I know you get this a lot, Stephanie. If what you want to do, like, we want to support you. We want to support. If you have an idea and you look like you can do it and you can give it to our audience, we are all here for it, right? But you gotta show that, y'all. Like, yeah.
That's right. I'll be like, do you? Right? So when I do happen to read my email, right, it'll be like, my name is so and so, and I help people do such and such, and I'll be like, do you? There's no, I can't. You can't expect me to take that to mean that you do it. And when people want to lend you their platform and let you come over to their channel or their thing, they want to know what you're going to say. You need to have already talked that talk a lot all over the internet. They don't want surprises. We don't want surprises. Cinnamon didn't bring me here like, I don't know what she wants to say, right? Nobody wants that. You've
Right.
got to be on the internet. It doesn't, we both agree. YouTube is the best use of your online marketing time. But even if it's not YouTube, if it's a podcast, if it's something, there's got to be a place where you do your thing out loud so
Yes.
that when it's time for somebody to look for you, you are the person who does that thing. I'm Stephanie, the house sitter, literally all over the world. I was just house sitting in Costa Rica, walking two dogs. A woman drove past me, stopped her car, and backed up. I was like, hey, Stephanie. I mean, a mess. I didn't have any eyebrows on. It was first like 5:36 in the morning, right? I didn't
Right.
have any eyebrows on. I was like, hi. But then I was like, this is wonderful, right? I am Stephanie, the house sitter. You want to be the person who does your thing on the internet. There's the time for not needing an online presence. Those days are over.
Right, right. No, I agree. And we have our Black Utopia asking a really good question. Can you both speak to collaboration versus competition? Can you be a little bit more specific? Love. Let me know what you mean specifically, but I can comment on what I think you mean generally. Stephanie, you wanna start first?
Sure, sure. It might have been your post recently. You said competition happens at the bottom. Somebody, I saw it
No,
very
I don't think
recently.
that was me. No, no,
Competition happens at the bottom, collaboration happens at the top. There is room enough for everyone.
no. Right.
If you're operating a business or not, or whatever, you need to be aware that abundance is the thing. Any idea of scarcity in the world is manufactured, it's made up, it's not real. And so when people are competitive, I think there's just a sign that they're not aware how much is out there, right? They're not aware how abundant things are, how abundant resources are. I don't know of any business that could that could adequately serve every
Right.
person on the planet. So we collaborate over here. It's wonderful. There's nothing like it. You can't even predict how wonderful or what benefits will come to you from being collaborative. They just keep flowing. It's my way. Yeah.
I think for competition versus collaboration, I think some people, you just got to really be careful of people's spirit and just how professional they are. And do they show up to meetings on time, or do they say what they're going to do? Because I think sometimes people may have relationships with people and they think, oh, they think I'm competing. And it could be like, you said you were going to show up at this time and you didn't, or you said you were going to do this and you didn't. That's what it is. I mean, that's a lot for me. If I get a feeling that someone wants, like, it's they doing it, like it just feels self-centered, then I'm already turned off. I'm already turned off. I mean, because that's not even how my friends are. My friends, I have a very wonderful, thank you God, group of amazing friends that are just so freaking giving. So when I meet a stranger who doesn't come off that way, kick rocks. Like, seriously. I don't even need that energy. And I think when you lead with a giving spirit, people feel that out pretty quickly. And I think what Stephanie says, and this is outside of collaboration, you don't have to compete that hard when you are doing something harder, if that makes sense, right? Like, if you take it to the next level and you got to work harder, or work, not that I'm trying to push this work hard culture, but you have to do so much more than what the average person would do, then it ain't really no competition up there. Like,
No.
nobody's competing with you because people don't want to do the work. So I think there's that part of just, there's not going to be competition if you just take it to a different level. And I think in collaboration, I think it's easy to collaborate. You just got to find the right people to collaborate with. If you yourself are leading with a spirit of reciprocity, because you're going to meet some people who are just insecure with just life in general. And so they may do some really insecure things, and it may not necessarily have anything to do with you per se. It's their spirit. Their spirit is insecure and selfish and weird. And so it's actually a blessing that you don't collaborate with them, because you don't want to be associated with their brand, even on accident. You know what I mean? So I think if that is, I mean, I said, tell me specifically. So I don't know if we answered that at all. Let me know, our Black Utopia, in regards to side hustles, other streams of income. So she said competition or collaboration. Okay. So, in regards to collaboration, I think one of the things that's important is think about what other service. Let's say you have a specific target market, right? And let's say, for me, marketing, right? So if I'm communicating with my client and we're talking about marketing, but maybe they can benefit from the same audience can benefit from some financial information, right? So I'm gonna go find a financial person who I respect and I think who has integrity and whatever, and say, okay, let's collaborate. So for example, but this particular Driven Spice brand, it's about travel, business, tech, whatever. And I know from some of the emails I get that if people want to move abroad, what's a way? So Stephanie's perfect for that. You get what I'm saying? She's perfect to still give insight to my audience who may not necessarily want to move abroad. They may just want to travel more. They may just want to find bike love. So Stephanie is perfect for that. So find out other people that you respect that can still add the same level of stuff. What you say on that, Stephanie?
That's right. When it's in particular when you're talking about building your own platform, you don't have to be the expert in everything. You can bring on somebody who knows that thing, right? You know your thing, but your platform, if you want to cover extra stuff, bring on somebody, collaborate, bring on somebody who can talk about the other stuff. Yeah, I think that your online platform, your online presence, yes, you're going to be known for a particular thing. You're going to have a particular niche, but the collaboration of bringing in other people who can help serve your audience, you win two times,
Absolutely.
right? Your
Absolutely.
audience give you the credit for the things that the other person taught. They'll be like, this was super helpful. Everybody's winning. Everybody wins from that.
And I love H&D abroad. Thank you so much, love. I've seen many YouTubers with low subs hang in there consistently, and then the number shot up to over 100K. Yes. And here's the thing, and this is anything you do. Like Stephanie said, you got to, ooh, see, okay, this will happen. Damn it. So listen, I just updated my Mac to the thing, and I avoided it for like a month, right? Are you making yours do it too?
No, I'm looking on
Okay.
my phone like,
Okay.
what is this?
So the thing does this. Okay, now it's not. Okay, now it's doing it. So I avoided downloading or updating my Mac because of this, and I tried turning it off earlier, and now I can't turn it off. And so I'm working with clients, and this is popping up, and I got to ask my partner how we got to figure it out. Anyway, so
Cute.
what I wanted to say is what we were talking about, and we're keeping an eye. If you have any questions, go ahead and put them in there because Stephanie has to drop off, but as it relates, the consistency is super important, like super, super, super important. And just go with it, even when it feels icky. And this is with anything you want to do that is new, folks. Okay, when it's new, it's gonna feel gross. It's gonna feel icky. It's gonna feel a whole bunch of things. But still rock with it. Still see it through. Please continue to progress. Even if it's not supposed to be where you're going to be, you're gonna learn so much from the process that it's going to help you in the future. So if it feels like, oh, I'm trying to build this platform, but nobody's listening. First of all, concentrate on the people who you are trying to help versus on yourself. Put out content that is going to be helpful to someone instead of focusing on you. And that is going to make a world of difference because when people are searching for things, they're searching for things that can help them. And if you don't position yourself in that way, they're never going to find you. So just concentrate on that. And between Stephanie and everybody else on YouTube, we put content out there to help you rock it out, right? So just sit down but just put it in action. Please don't just listen to it. Please don't just listen to the information. Please put your action plan in because I'm telling you, y'all, what is going to happen in this technology is like it's about to be a lot. It's about to be a lot. Like I had to change my whole business model. Like real talk. Okay. So go tell them, Stephanie, what you got?
So do you think that now the move is to be the person who knows how to use AI? Is
This
that
is
where we're
this is what it's hard to say because this is like the new thing with the internet, right? When the internet came out, it was really hard to say what was going to happen, right? But we got to admit, it put a lot of things out of business, right? So there's going to be a lot of things, particularly if you're in the writing field. I'm in marketing. Like my writer that I had for like we were able to kind of completely go AI, right? So if you're in an industry that's going to hit you quick, then you need to learn a new skill and you need to learn a couple. What I would first say is your first step is use AI to make yourself superhuman. Okay, so whatever it is you do and you know how to do, you're going to use AI to make you brilliant, to make you better, faster, quicker in it, right? And then as you're getting the experience, incorporating it into your everyday life, then you can start seeing, oh, if I do this, this could help my client do that, right? So it's seeming like instead of people, and I don't know this to be true, instead of people having their own website, you may have your own GTPs that is equipped with your experience, your knowledge, your everything, and you are now contracting or licensing that AI GTP to service your clients. I don't know that to be true. But that is what I'm thinking, and that is like I'm building projects for my clients now to say, can you test this out for me? Can you do this? What are some to see how I can work it, right? Like even my partner and I were learning Python. Girl, ew.
Oh gosh.
It's gross. It's gross. It hurts. It hurts real bad. Okay. All right. Do we have any questions? We say black to YouTube. We agree. Okay. 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 All right. All right. How would someone with more? Oh, okay. Real quick. Okay. We got 6 minutes, y'all. How would someone who is more introvert keep consistent with content? That's a really good question. What I would say is depending on what you're given. You don't always have to have your face on YouTube. You can make an AI character right now if you want to, but you don't have to put your face on YouTube. But whatever your content is going to be, you may just have to invest more on stock photography or AI video, whatever, so that you can have something visual going on YouTube, because no one goes on YouTube to just stare at nothing, okay? So you're still going to have some visuals, but speak your message. But at some point, I am going to encourage you to just, you may want, it depends on what your brand is, you may need to show your face. If you don't want to in the beginning, don't nobody see your videos in the beginning anyway, so it don't matter. but you'll start to get the courage, because it's easy to trust somebody and want to work with them when they see your face. When we don't see your face, we like, well, who am I working with? Like, you know what I mean? So I get it. If you introvert, I am too, believe it or not. I am an introvert too, but some of this stuff just comes, you get better because you're doing it. Like everything you've ever done in your life, you get better because you keep doing it. So just start, love. Just start. What'd you say, Stephanie?
I agree with that. I agree with that. If your channel is directing people to a product or service where they need to trust you, they will want to see your face. I used to watch this writing channel, and I really liked the way she broke down how to outline a book, right? How to outline a story. It didn't have to be a book. How to outline a story. First, instead of starting with the beginning, we're going to start with the denouement. Then we're going to do the rising action, right? I really liked the way she did it, but she just had her camera pointed down at the table, and she would write things out on paper. When it was time for me to hire a writing coach, I hired the man who I felt like I knew, because he made videos with himself on camera. And so, yeah, if people need to trust you, if your channel is pointing people to a product or service where they need to trust you in particular, be on camera. You get used to it. Like seriously, you get used to
You do get used to
it.
it. And you'll find out, like a lot of people who are on camera, they are introverts. But you in your house by yourself, right? So it's
In
still
that,
very introverty.
just talking to a little green circle, right? It's just you. Yeah.
So don't worry, just get it out there. You're not speaking in front of a bunch of people. You're just talking into a camera, and just give them your brilliance right now. Come on, y'all. This year, you have got to share your brilliance, and people got to know now, because it's about to get very competitive. It's going to get competitive of what's going to jump online, because we don't know even where websites are going to go in search. Or they are saying within the next 2 years, 90% of content that's written online is going to be written by AI. So then that means what is going to separate you? And right now, AI is doing some video, but as far as creating connections, video, that's people, that's YouTube, right? So if you don't start now, you're going to make it real hard for you later, because everybody's going to be jumping on that bandwagon, okay? So if you start and you plant your seeds now with whatever brilliance you have right now, if you're getting ready to learn a new skill, do it in public, do it on YouTube.
Yes. Yes.
Hope we inspired you today, because we having
I'm
church.
fired up. Yes.
Okay. So thank you, Our Black Utopia. I appreciate you. Oh, you're welcome. Okay, cinnamon. Okay, another camera. Right? Okay, follow some sites that walk through certain cities when they get contributions, and turn the camera on. When they, okay, all right. No questions. Okay, perfect. We did it on time. I still feel like it was too short.
Well, invite me back.
Okay, okay, it's not gonna be another 3 years, love. It's not gonna be another
No.
3 years. We're gonna have to do this real soon. Again, folks, in the description box, if you are interested in house sitting, please check out Stephanie's link in the bottom. Next week we have Nadia. Like I told you, Nadia is my college friend who was under the tutelage of Stephanie, and she's gonna talk about her process of doing solo travel all across the world and slow travel specifically. We didn't speak much about slow travel today. I'm sorry, I made a random mouth too much.
Girl, she's been traveling her heart out. Yes.
Yeah, so we're going to talk about Nadia, and Nadia's going to come back twice. She's going to talk about the career break that she did and how she planned, because you know y'all need a plan. Don't be just quitting your job and going frolicking around this world. Don't do that, right? So we're going to talk about that. We'll do that live in the next 2 weeks, and no, Christmas not next week. So I'll see y'all before Christmas. But Stephanie. Thank you, love. And again, so proud of you. So super proud of you. Thank you for giving your brilliance to the world and blessing so many people, having them think about travel and life and work balance in a way they didn't even know was possible.
Yes.
Thank you, love.
Thank you. I appreciate you so much. And right back at you, right? Congratulations on making a new life for yourself,
Thank
right?
you.
And
Thank you.
doing it in public and
Public,
showing it
y'all.
so other people can follow along and do the same.
Do
Thank
it in
you.
public. We appreciate you. Ladies and gentlemen, Stephanie, good to see you, hon. We'll have you back soon. And guys, if you have any questions, and anyone who is watching this and recording, if you have any questions, we could do a follow-up interview with Stephanie. We're going to let her go because she got a meeting. And until next time, folks, ciao.